Good morning, I'm Maiki Oreta, and you're watching Basis Points, where we dive deep into the numbers and the stories that drive our economy and shape our world. The headlines. Foreign investments sink to a 4-year low in September. What's driving this decline? Rice prices continue to surge, prompting lawmakers to launch a high-stakes investigation. Smugglers expose. The Agriculture Department blacklists 10 companies in a crackdown on illegal imports. And a steel showdown in the United States. Nippon Steel's takeover bid sparks fierce union opposition. First, let's take a quick look at the financial markets. On Wall Street, major indices closed lower Tuesday as investors await key inflation reports that could influence the Federal Reserve's upcoming monetary policy decision. The S&P 500 fell 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite lost 0.25%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average lower by 0.4%.
So markets aren't doing a lot today. We've had a really strong rally since the election. We're kind of, digesting some earnings. We had Oracle news yesterday, but there is just not a lot of news going. We would anticipate the market will probably drift up throughout the rest of the year as you get more into the Santa Claus rally. But there's really nothing huge today as we're waiting for more data.
Over in Europe, markets also ended lower on Tuesday, snapping out of an 8-day winning streak. This comes as investors prepare for new inflation data later on this week. The FTSE 100 declined by 0.9%, while France's CAC 40 dropped by a little over 1%. Over in the Asia-Pacific, markets are showing a mixed start. Japan's Nikkei 225 is flat, down by 0.1%, while South Korea's Kospi is up by more than 0.6%. Now, elsewhere, Australia's S&P ASX 200 is lower by 0.25%. Global markets are in a wait-and-see mode as investors focus on crucial inflation reports, which are expected this week. Here on the local front, foreign direct investment inflows fall to their lowest level in 4 years this September. This according to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The BSP reports that FDI net inflows dropped 36% year-on-year to $368 million from $577 million in September of last year. Month-on-month inflows fell even further, down 55% from $815 million in August. The central bank attributes the drop to a significant decline in non-resident investors' net investments in debt instruments. RCBC's chief economist Michael Ricafort suggests that foreign investors may be adopting a wait-and-see approach as they await the finalization of the Create More Act. Last month, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed the Create More Act, also known as the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives for Enterprises Act. The law aims to boost investments in the country by providing expanded fiscal incentives and reduce corporate income tax rates to eligible foreign enterprises. This drop in FDI inflows shows foreign investors caution, but also underscores the need for reforms like Create More to make the Philippines a more attractive destination for investments. The World Bank cuts its growth forecast for the Philippines this year, but remains optimistic about the country's medium-term growth prospects. It also warns of risks from trade disruptions and geopolitical conflicts. The World Bank economist Gonzalo Varela says that the 2024 growth forecast is lowered to 5.9% from 6%. This slight revision is due to the impact of recent storms, which resulted in lower than expected growth for the third quarter. The agriculture sector struggles this year with climate-related events, including El Niño and La Niña, affecting output and livelihoods. Last week, economic managers also lowered the country's growth target from 6 to 7% to 6 to 6.5% to reflect these challenges. On another front, the Philippines' trade deficit hits its highest level in over 2 years this October, according to data from the Philippine Statistics Authority. The PSA reports that the country's trade gap expanded to $5.8 billion in October, the widest deficit since August of 2022, when it reached $99 billion. Despite the increase, the World Bank's lead economist, Gonzalo Varela, says that the trade deficit is not a major concern. He explains that the economy continues to grow and that financing conditions remain favorable. In sum, while the trade deficit indicates rising import costs, experts remain optimistic due to the country's strong economic growth and stable financing conditions. Now, despite reduced tariffs, why is rice still so expensive? Several House committees are now looking into this. The details from Sandro Ochona.
Lawmakers are baffled why rice remains expensive despite government data saying otherwise. The Philippine Statistics Authority recorded a decrease in demand from 82.5% last year to 69% this year. The data also show record-high rice production for 2023. Lawmakers believe someone could be manipulating the price.
Nasa kamay ng importers at traders na yumaman po ng 13 billion pesos. Dahil yun po yung kinita nila dahil bumaba ang taripa to 15%. Yumaman sila, 13 billion as a whole. Pero wini-withhold nila ang rice tax sa ngayon. Maawa naman sila, di ba? Pakawalan na nila ang rice tax na yan nang sa ganon, bumaba na ang presyo na sa ngayon ay dapat nasa bandang 35 pesos.
When pressed for answers, the Agriculture Department had none.
There's an imperfect market. There's a cartel-like
Yes, your opinion.
environment. Pero
Your opinion of DA. Meron? May manipulation sa merkado?
there's a situation environment that can, yes sir. Pero we
Okay.
cannot say na kasi hindi naman kami directly involved on that. Nandito
Yes.
ang ECC.
Importers at the hearing insisted the problem is not with them.
Ang nabiblame kasi ngayon, ang naging spotlight kaming mga importer, where in fact, tama si Honorable Tulfo, na ang makikita natin problema sa retailer. There are a lot of levels. There are a lot of category. Kami importer, we sell to wholesaler. Then the wholesaler sell to dealer. The dealer sell to stores. And the stores or to online seller. Wala kaming cartel. Hindi kami nagpa-profiteering. We're dictated by the market prices. Hindi kami nag-hoarding.
One of the resource person was almost cited in contempt when the House panel pressed them for more answers.
Magkano po ang net income ninyo last year?
I don't know, ma'am.
Hindi ninyo alam ang
Hindi
net
ko alam
income
po.
nyo? Magkano po
Actually, ma'am,
buwis na binayad nyo last year?
Ngayon lang po kami, ma'am, nag-import. This year lang po kami nag-import.
Hindi, ang tinatanong ko po, magkano ang buwis, ang taxes na binayad nyo last year?
This year lang po kami, ma'am, nag-import yung King B.
Hindi, last year, ang buwis, taxes na binayad.
Wala pa pong ang importation ng King B last year.
B, you're under oath, sir. Your total purchases is 1 billion this year. So I think you better properly answer the question of Congressman Snell.
Imposible, sir, na hindi nyo alam ang kung magkano ang kita nyo.
Ay, yung wife ko na po kasi, ma'am, yung
Sir?
yung wife ko na po kasi ang nag-co-compute doon.
One of the solutions the panel recommended was to release price stocks in the market and relieve the steep price, while the Agriculture Department sees the price to ease up in January next year. Sandro Ochona, BNC.
The Department of Agriculture blacklists 10 firms suspected of involvement in agricultural smuggling as the government steps up its crackdown. The Bureau of Plant Industry says these firms failed to secure import clearances before bringing in vegetables, fruits, and other food products. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tu Laurel warns that this move should serve as a message to unscrupulous traders. He emphasizes that this is part of the department's intensified efforts following the enactment of the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act. To date, the government has seized over 2 billion pesos worth of smuggled agricultural products nationwide. This crackdown sends a clear message that the government is determined to protect local farmers, safeguard the agriculture sector, and ensure a level playing field for legitimate traders. We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to your bottom line. Welcome back to Basis Points Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange. Opened just a few minutes ago. Let's take a look at the initial figures. I have to pull that up here. In the meantime, the PSE index increased yesterday, up by 0.7% to 67.25. This was on year-end window dressing and on bargain hunting. Okay, we still don't have those figures at the stock exchange, waiting on them now. In the meantime, the buying yesterday was on Semirara Mining, Ayala Corporation, Nickel Asia, and Ayala Land. Okay, here we are with the figures at the PSE index. The main gauge is lower by 0.1% right now to 67.16, still at the 6,700 level. The broader all shares index is flat as well, unchanged at 37.84. Out of the sub-indices, we're looking at a mixed picture here. The financials and industrial counters are in the green, as with the mining and oil and property counters. However, the holding firms and services counters are leading the market's downturn. Holding firms down by 0.6%, and the services counter down by 0.1%. Now, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opened much weaker at 58.15 against the dollar from its previous close of 58.01. Now, get ready for higher electricity bills this December. Meralco, the country's largest power distributor, announces a new rate hike, plus important safety reminders about your Christmas lights this holiday season. Sujin Kim has the details.
Power rates soar for the second straight month. Meralco customers face another rate hike as electricity costs increase by 10 centavos per kilowatt hour this December. This means an additional 21 pesos on the average household bill. Meralco attributes this to a higher generation charge this month, which increased by 18 centavos per kilowatt hour.
Dahil sa mas mataas na singil mula sa wholesale electricity spot market, ito po ay tumaas ng 25 centavos. Tumaas din po yung power supply agreements ng 10.5 centavos.
The generation charge was also impacted by foreign exchange fluctuations, particularly with imported fuel prices.
As you know, the power plant's operating expenses, particularly on fuel, are affected by fluctuations in the peso vis-a-vis the dollar rate.
Transmission charges, meanwhile, only slightly increased. Meralco says this helped cushion the rate hike brought by generation costs. It also clarifies that distribution charges remain unchanged. With the ongoing Christmas season, Meralco reminds the public about safety measures for electricity use. Christmas lights should have quality control labels. Staples, thumbtacks, and nails should be avoided as these can damage cords. Overloading extension cords is also a common fire hazard, and as much as possible, have a fire extinguisher at home.
Doon po sa mga kababayan natin na magbabakasyon po ngayong panahon ng Kapaskuhan, make sure po wag ho tayo mag-iiwan ng kahit na anong appliances na on. Lalo na po yung Christmas lights, baka mag-overheat. Make sure to use the appropriate type for indoor and outdoor use.
Sujin Kim, BNC.
Higher airport fees at NAIA are taking a toll on both passengers and airlines, but one carrier is reassuring the public that operations will continue smoothly, especially this holiday season. Sujin Kim returns with this report.
A low-cost airline raises concern over higher airport fees at NAIA, with some fees increasing by as much as 200%. This comes in the wake of NAIA's privatization under San Miguel Corporation.
I know that there has been significant increases with regards to airport fees, and we are still in talks with them because otherwise it's going to be also difficult for AirAsia Not only us, but also Cebu Pacific, because we are low-cost carrier company, right? And when you are a low-cost carrier company, cost is very important to us.
Matagal-tagal na rin, di ba, na nangangailangan talaga ng significant improvement sa main gateway. But on the business side, syempre, we're also looking at our business model. Kami po ay low-cost carrier. We offer piso sale.
AirAsia clarified that while they support the modernization of the airport, the industry is struggling to cope with the associated price hikes.
We are coordinating with NNIC. I know there's a lot of expectation in terms of airport improvements, but we also expect them to support and understand our needs as a private company.
I would say, I think we all want and we all deserve a better customer experience at our main gateway. No? But hopefully there's some sort of balancing act there in terms of cost.
Dailisan also added that higher operational costs eventually reflect on ticket prices. AirAsia emphasized that they are in close coordination with the Air Carriers Association of the Philippines to address the issue.
It's painful at the moment, but we are working closely with partners in government and NIC on how to best approach this concern, and hopefully we get something positive by next year.
Meanwhile, AirAsia is expected to transfer operations from Terminals 2 and 3 to Terminal 4 once renovations are completed. The airline also assured the public they have sufficient ground and standby staff to handle the holiday surge of passengers. Sujin Kim, BNC.
We're taking a quick breather. Basis Points will be right back.
The latest news, national issues, the political scene, and conversations with prominent personalities. All these firsthand at the forefront.
Is still continuing with hearings on the EJ.
But we can recommend the filing of cases with the proper offices or agencies.
It is always victimizing the poor, so we will continue to go against corruption in the budget.
At the forefront with attorney Karen Jimeno, 8 a.m.
This is Pinky Webb and it's a great opportunity. Ang inyong lingkod si Corina Sanchez Rojas.
Corina Sanchez.
As they uphold their mission is to be proud
Dalawang
of what we
mamamahayag
do
na
with
subok
our
sa tapang at talino.
To talk with all of you. Maraming salamat.
Pagsasamahin ng isa. Agenda. Mondays to Fridays, 6 p.m. only on BNC, the Billionario News Channel.
Welcome back to Basis Points. Over in the United States, the proposed sale of U.S. Steel to Japan's Nippon Steel sparks controversy, with the head of the United Steelworkers Union warning of potential risks to American jobs and to their domestic industry. Now, Nippon Steel has outlined commitments to reassure the union, including pledges for job security and investments in the United States facilities. However, union leader David McCall cautions that the Japanese company could still import steel from its international mills, potentially displacing local production.
Certainly, when we've had discussions with them, there's been nothing that would assure us that there's a long-term viability in the operations. And so that's our number one concern, is about what the future livelihood of our members would be, and our sustainability of being able to produce the products that we need in this country, controlled by this country.
Nippon Steel's $15 billion takeover bid is also drawing criticism from both President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump. The proposal is scheduled for review by the Interagency Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States later on this month. This high-stakes deal puts foreign investment under scrutiny while raising concerns about the future of America's steel industry. On another front, Google launches a powerful new chip that can make computers work much faster. This could change the way we use technology in AI and in big data. We have more from this report.
Google says it has cracked a key challenge in quantum computing with a new chip capable of almost unfathomable speeds. The tech giant says it can perform a standard test in under 5 minutes, one that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years. That's vastly longer than the universe has existed. Google says the results lend credence to theories that quantum computing taps into a multiverse of parallel universes. Dubbed Willow, the new chip has 105 so-called qubits, the building blocks of quantum machines. They are super fast, but also very error-prone, and can be upset by something as tiny as a passing subatomic particle. Now Google says it's found a way to make them more reliable, and says it can also correct errors in real time. That's a big step towards building a practical quantum computer. Google hopes such devices could one day deliver huge advances in fields like AI and medicine. In a blog post Monday, it said that, even under ideal conditions, it would take a regular computer 1 billion years to get the same results as Willow. The processors are being crafted at a new purpose-built facility in Santa Barbara, California. Rival firms have focused on building chips with more qubits, but Google says improving reliability is the key to delivering a workable system.
Toyota's legendary Tamaraw makes its return after nearly 5 decades, reimagined for the modern Filipino. Our mobility correspondent G. Baroga filed this report.
From delivery to service and everything in between, the next generation Toyota Tamaraw is all about versatility and customization. Its return signals Toyota's drive to challenge Mitsubishi's dominance in the commercial vehicle market.
Toyota is a challenger in the commercial area. The competitors like Mitsubishi, they are quite ahead, and we are just a challenger or follower to them. So we do our maximum effort, try our best to catch again the people in this area.
Tamaraw is Toyota's third locally made vehicle after the Vios and Innova, and is set to boost the Philippine economy.
When we added additional line, we also added additional manpower in our production line. Since this is a vehicle that can be converted into different types, it will also generate trickle-down effects in terms of yung partner bodybuilders, part suppliers, and then of course those customers who will be using that.
Before the big reveal, Toyota got up close and personal with customers through Goyokiki activities to see exactly what they wanted in the new Tamaraw. The business community is loving how flexible the Tamaraw is for their needs.
We made sure that the Tamaraw is not only a practical vehicle, but also an aspirational vehicle. Whatever needs you may have for the next generation Tamaraw, they are possible.
Toyota plans to produce at least 1,500 Tamaraw units per month, but is ready to adjust based on demand. The company is confident that Tamaraw will be a game changer for new businesses and help accelerate growth for micro, small, and medium enterprises. This model is named after the Tamaraw, an animal found only in the Philippines. In doing so, Toyota is strengthening its partnership with the government with a new agreement focused on preserving this endangered species. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
And that's it for Basis Points. I'm Maiki Oreta. We'll be back tomorrow for more news on the financial markets and more. Keep it here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel, always on top.